And one very important test in that is a VO2 max test.
Oh.
So VO2 max is basically the volume of oxygen that your body can transport and utilize in a minute. You use breath as an anchor point to bring yourself back into the present. Wherever your thought takes you, you bring yourself back, you center yourself, you focus here and bring yourself back using the breath. Most important thing which I like to address, okay, is the breathing volume throughout the day. If you're breathing heavy throughout the day, you cannot automatically assume that you'll breathe light throughout the night. Breathing gets difficult, that's when we realize the importance of breathing. Mouths are not meant to breathe. The whole body's mechanism is designed in a way where we breathe through our nose. Okay.
Yeah.
So first thing is nasal breathing. So people ask me, is nasal breathing important? I say it's not important. It's how it should be. So ideally a breathing pattern would look something like nasal, light, without noise, inaudible, slow, deep. This should be the graph. Slow and subtle, without having lot of jerks in between.
Also, talking about love, and there's something that the nation loves,
Yeah.
and you have played that game,
Yeah.
and that is cricket.
Yeah.
How important is breathing in cricket?
So basically, I'll start with speaking about athletes in general.
Okay.
For normal people, breathing is just a thing they do. But for athletes, it's a very essential thing because their whole, I'd go so far saying that their careers are dependent on their breathing. So when they are in the 30th minute, if a footballer is on his knees, catching the breath, and if the athlete cannot breathe, he will question himself, he or she will question himself. The audience, the viewers will question himself, the club fitness coaches, the club president will question the football player that what's happening. Same for the cricket player. If they run two, and if in a first day of a test match, if by lunch if they're catching their breath, that shows the fitness. And that's why there are fitness tests that are there in elite sport level. And one very important test in that is a VO2 max test.
Oh.
So VO2 max is basically the volume of oxygen that your body can transport and utilize in a minute. Okay. So that test is done, and the people who score better in that test have better endurance capacity. So, and that test is directly related to your breathing, because volume of oxygen that your body can take in a minute. So we're working on oxygen when we're breathing. So, and in fact the yo-yo test, which is there in cricket, the better your yo-yo test, the better your VO2 max score is, the better your yo-yo test score will be. So that is correlated. That is directly proportional.
Even we have seen, the Thala himself, MSD, calming others down, calming the new players down, telling them to take a deep breath, like those things.
There was a very good video in IPL 2023 which you have seen. There was a debutant. I guess he was from, he was an Indian or Sri Lankan, I don't remember. In the first over itself, he fumbled 2-3 balls, and that reel went a bit viral, which Dhoni was just, he was telling him to exhale. Okay, why? Because exhale gives a signal and activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest response. So sympathetic is stress and fight and flight response, and when you exhale, okay, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. It makes you more relaxed, and coincidentally or purposely, whatever it is, after 2 balls, he took a great catch in that position. Hence that reel got viral, that Dhoni calmed him down. Dhoni himself is a very calm character, so it reflects on other people. And exhaling is a very good thing when it comes to breathing, to calm your nervous system down. And anyone from athletes to corporates can use an active exhalation.
Also, when we say, breathing a part of the game, should athletes or, prepare themselves before the match or during the match? So, supposingly I'm taking a run up kind of to bowl, or I'm at the non-striker end. When is the right time to practice breathing exercise?
Yeah, so basically, right time, I'd say the right time to practice any breathing thing is when you breathe. So all the time. So there's no right time to it. There are just different factors to it. Different at different times of the game, you need to be able to do different things in terms of breathing.
Yeah.
So basically, when we talk about the body, the athletes prepare their body in certain way before the match. They play in a certain way. You require different things from your body. Same is for breathing. So before the match, ideally to prepare for the match, in leading the match, an athlete needs to sustain their workouts breathing light and through the nose. Okay, so at least their warm up, it should be nasal. Okay, that's how they do not get tired early. And nose humidifies and heats up the air a bit before it reaches your lungs, so it is absorbed better. The nose, I told you, noses are meant to breathe.
Yeah.
So nose has that particular function to humidify, moisturize and warm the air up before it reaches the lungs. So it is also very beneficial in including it in your warm up. Okay, before the tournament or before the match, in coming days you can use different breathing exercises. That's a different topic altogether. That's a breath training thing. But during the warm-ups, during the day, you can include this nasal breathing or some sort of breath holding in your warm-up, because when you hold your breath, your spleen contracts. Okay, spleen is your body's blood bank and it releases more red blood cells. So you are oxygenated better during the warm-up so that you don't get tired. If you mouth breathe, you're tiring yourself in your warm-up itself. But if you nasal breathe during your warm-up, you're releasing more red blood cells and doing some breath holds. You're releasing more red blood cells that helps you oxygenate more. And for a mental preparation, box breathing is an amazing thing. Even the Navy SEALs have used it, the US Navy SEALs. It's basically a simple exercise. What is a box? Box is basically a structure which has equal sides. Okay?
Yeah.
So here we have equal sides of inhale, hold, exhale, hold. So basically it can be inhale, hold, exhale, hold for 4 seconds. Okay, 4 or 5 seconds. This gets an athlete into a flow state. Okay, this gets an athlete into a very balanced state where the body is active but the mind is calm and composed. So you can practice it right now for a minute or two. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
you take a breath in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. You can even visualize a box. In, hold,
Yes.
out, hold. Huh? You just took 2 rounds of it.
Yeah.
Do you feel slightly better?
Yes, a lot better.
Yeah, a lot better
Yes.
because you've been working all day and now you feel a bit fresh. Okay.
Yes.
Imagine doing it for 5 minutes. Okay. So you just do it for 3 to 5 minutes and you're switched on during the game and your body is relaxed, the mind is focused.
So this is like a very good thing to practice, I must say. And for for any tournaments before this,
Yeah.
everyone should practice. Going, even this could be incorporated for somebody who's going into presentations.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
doing it just for 2-3 minutes is definitely going to help them.
Yeah.
And for players who are at the club level, who are younger, playing under 19, under 15, this should be your go-to exercise
100%. And
as a warm-up.
yeah, this gives them a competitive advantage of oxygen.
Yeah.
They are oxygenated while the opponent is not oxygenated. And your physical performance, your mental performance, both are dependent on the oxygenation that your body and mind has. During the game, it's more of, you ask the question that what is the difference. During the game, there won't be any exercises. It will just be you coming back to the present moment. Okay. So you use the breath. So when you just focus on breathing, you're not thinking about past or future. You just come into the present. Speaking specifically about cricket. Cricket is not a game like table tennis where you have to be switched on for all the time, for 20 minutes. You have to be switched on for 8 hours in cricket, but in different parts. So when you're bowling, when that ball is being bowled, you need to be maximum switched on, and the other times you need to be switched off. Okay. So basically how I would use breathing, and I would make my athlete use breathing in their game, especially a game like cricket, is they use the breath to bring them into the present moment. If there's one ball that they played wrong in any sport, if that's one point that's gone, okay, just focus on your breath, come back to the present and perform your skill. You use breath as an anchor point to bring yourself back into the present. Wherever your thought takes you, you bring yourself back, you center yourself, you focus here and bring yourself back using the breath.
From cricket, the the one guy that comes to my mind is from the 2011 World Cup coaching team, who's been a part of the Indian hockey team as well for the Olympics. He's been there for Gukesh as well for his World Chess Championship, and that's Paddy Upton.
Yeah.
What is his role, in calming everybody down? Like,
Yeah, so basically, first of all, Paddy Upton is a legend. So he's worked with various sports. He's even worked with Rahul Dravid in Rajasthan Royals.
oh,
Yeah, so he was associated with him. He's great friend. Worked with Gary Kirsten, obviously in the 2011 World Cup. He's great friends with him. The number one thing about Paddy Upton, which sets him rest from the other people, is the other people in the other areas focus on an individual thing. A team will have a certain mental conditioning coach, a physical trainer, and everything. Paddy Upton, as much as I know him, he sees the body as a holistic thing. Okay, he correlates the mind and body very thing, and he understands humans very well. So he makes sure he is working with a human. So he understands how the mind, body, and everything come together and work, and that's why he's so successful in what he does, and that's why he is where he is today. Definitely.
we seen in the World Chess Championship how he played an important role with Gukesh. Okay, so Gukesh, while Ding was taking his own time in the classical format, he used to keep his eyes closed, have a certain breathing pattern, and does that really help? We see him winning, but how is that he adopted, like breathing
Yeah.
during the game?
Yeah. So basically, what I feel is, obviously the player knows himself the best, but what I feel is you cannot adopt anything into the game.
Yeah.
Okay, the adaptation or the adoption, which we call, is a constant practice of hours and hours which that person has done during their physical practice of that particular thing, and even when the athlete is not practicing that. Okay, so basically, if the person is meditating or whatever the person is doing in their lifestyle, the breath at that time, at their stress level, when the stress level is max in their game time, reflects the state of what they've done there. So like your body, if you've eaten bad food, your physical performance will not be good. If you've eaten good food, your physical in terms of the body's performance will be better. Body will be designed to perform better when it has good amount of nutrition. Same is for oxygen. The more oxygenated the brain will be, the better it will be, and his habits in his life, in his general lifestyle, will reflect how his how his breathing during the game will be. So when it comes to Gukesh, whatever he is doing in his lifestyle is reflecting his breath. You cannot adopt breath. You can work regularly on your breath so that when you are faced with stressful situation and when your performance matters, your breathing is calm and composed. So if you look at Gukesh as a person, he is also very calm. But it is countless hours of things, that mental and physical things that he practices, is what reflects on his game.
So, even Super Grandmaster Vidit himself has been talking about how it is important for him to meditate, do breathing exercises. So do you think that there should be a different breathing patterns when there is a longer format of the game, like chess especially, like a classical game versus a rapid, which is a shorter time format but still gives a breathing space, versus a blitz that is like just like a 3 minutes? So how do you feel that?
So one is the classical. First, I'll start with classical.
Yeah.
In classical, the more easy your breathing is, the more easy your mind is. Okay. If you just practice very light and subtle breathing, so basically Shaolin monks. This is a very good story. Shaolin monks had a test which they had to do. They had to do rapid physical exercises. Okay. And after the end of physical exercises, the rapid, so Shaolin monks have very strenuous exercises. And after that, they used to keep a feather below their nostrils. and if the feather moves, they're not selected. So basically their ideology was you have to be able to control your breath, okay, even after exercises, strenuous exercises. So during stressful situation, the lighter your breath is, the easier your breath is, the more calm your mind is, and you can exhale more. You can use the power of exhales, okay. So first is light breathing. So light breathing keeps your mind light, so you can focus more, and it oxygenates you. Deep and light breathing oxygenates you better, okay. So breathing should be deep, but it should not be so audible, okay. That
Yeah.
will oxygenate you better. So in classic it is about like you have to have a good brain. So from my perspective, I look at in classical chess the brain should be more oxygenated for an extended period of time, okay. So you have to breathe well for a long amount of time. During shorter game like rapids and blitz, you can focus on doing more power breathing exercises before the
Game starts.
game starts, and during the game. So one thing which I have observed in shorter formats of every game is your brain thinks the time is moving too fast when it is not. So first you need to keep your mind very calm and composed, and then be very sharp. So it is a very delicate balance that your mind should be calm but you should be sharp. If your mind is all over the place, your mind thinks it's too fast, you are not
Yeah.
making decisions.
Yes.
So that's where you can use the power of good exhalation. So as you mentioned, and after when the opponent is playing around, or when you just have a short breathing space, you can take 1 to 2 deep breaths to oxygenate your brain, okay. Or through the nose, even better. If the exhale is through the nose, even better. But mouth is, for rapids, mouth exhale works more. During classical chess, nasal breathing throughout the time will
Yeah.
work better, okay. And during rapid and blitz, this is the thing, power breathing, and then maintaining your, whenever you get a short breathing space, you inhale and exhale deeply for 2 to 3 breaths. You'll come back to the present moment, and the time won't, in your mind, won't move fast as it is moving in the game.
True, true. You know, Vishy Anand sir said that it is very important for chess player to be physically fit, you know. And now with that we move on to a very common area of interest, you know, from various people or probably everyone today, and that is, you know, gymming.
Yeah.
You know, what happens in gymming is a lot of time when we lift heavy weights, a lot of our instructor tells us that, you know, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So what is that why is that a
Yeah.
necessary thing?
So basically, exhales. Okay. So natural instructions which all the trainer will give is whenever you go against the gravity, whenever you lift any load which goes against the
Yeah.
gravity, you exhale. Okay. So that is the process, because exhale gives a good power. In जोर लगा के haisha in जोर लगा के is the exhale.
Yeah.
Okay. So that exhales gives you a push, gives the body a push in order to lift something or do a strenuous activity. Okay. So that's how the body is designed. So that's why when you lift something, when you take it against the gravity, when you take the load, you exhale, and the opposite, when you are not taking the load, you inhale. That is a general breathing pattern that is done in the gym, and this particular reason is the reason why that thing is done.
Okay. Also, is there a different pattern that is required when you are doing a resistant training versus a regular training, heavyweight lifting?
Yeah, heavy lifting. So resistance training, I would like, the more lighter the training is, the more easier your breathing should be. If you breathe very intensely, okay, during a very light exercise, your brain will get mixed signals. Okay, so you've seen in the very hyper situations, the body breathes heavily. So if you breathe heavily even during light exercise, your body will get a certain mixed signals that this is too difficult for you. So the idea is, the lighter the workout is, the lighter your breath should be, the easier your breath should be, the more gentle your breath should be. Okay, and during the other form of resistance training, the inhale is exhale ratio works perfectly. Yeah, but when you're doing 1 rep max heavy lifting or something like that, there is a technique called as a Valsalva maneuver. Okay,
Valsalva maneuver. Okay.
the easiest thing when we do a Valsalva maneuver, everyone does that, is while pooping. Okay, you hold your breath and exert pressure.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so even in lifting 1 rep max and everything, this technique is followed, but just this technique is not enough. This technique does not this technique has a scope of improvement by inculcating breathing in that. Okay, So usually how trainers and everything work in one rep max is you wear a belt, okay, generally, if not, okay, and you take a breathe a breath through the chest, okay. Now the diaphragm is completely in the opposite direction, and then you lift. So there is a sort of, the stability is where you lack, okay. The stability can be better if you inhale through the whole diaphragm expands from all the sides, okay. From all the sides the diaphragm should expand. That is called the intra abdominal pressure, okay. What the intra abdominal pressure essentially does is, if you see a balloon, a inflated balloon will have better stability, will give a better stability to a stick. Let's see your spine is a stick, okay. An inflated balloon will give a better stability to a stick than a deflated balloon. When the balloon is deflated, the stick will fall.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why you inflate the balloon while breathing in, inflate our body from all the sides. That will give a stable thing, and then you do a Valsalva maneuver. You exert pressure and you lift the weight. The lifting can get better and improve. And I have seen athletes and I've worked with people who have just improved their 1 rep max with changing the techniques of the Valsalva maneuver.
I'm going to try this. I'm definitely going to message
Yeah,
you.
definitely. Also, one more very important thing: do not practice Valsalva maneuver in your day-to-day life or anything. It is not required. It is just required when the lifting is too heavy and you're just lifting for one or shorter number of reps. Otherwise, you lift, you exhale, you put down, you inhale. That's the same breathing pattern.
So with this, we have something for each of our aspects. But a common dilemma, I would say, has been the air quality, and any suggestion that you would like to give to our viewers, you know.
Yeah, so more than the suggestion, the air quality is obviously getting worse and worse, especially in urban areas. There are some things which are controllables, some things which are non controllables. What we can control is the usage of our, the frequency of usage of our private vehicles, the more pollution that we do internally in our house and around our house. So that is obviously one thing we can control. I've seen geniuses in my area everywhere. They talk everything about philosophical things about air pollution, and they're just smoking. So just don't contradict your viewpoint. So that is one thing. One thing is a macroscopic thing. There are lots of construction and everything. So everything contributes. One thing where I would like to give suggestion in terms of breathing is, one is stay and plant more. Stay near the trees and plants and plant whenever you can. That is one thing. The other thing is, whenever you are in a high AQI zone, you focus on exhalations. You focus on getting all the air out. You don't want the polluted air to stay in your system for too long. Okay, so your exhale should be very good. You need to exhale all the air fully. That will have a carbon dioxide loss that has its own cons, but you don't want the polluted air to stay inside you for long. Okay, so you focus on exhale. Then try to go to non-polluted region where you do the deep breathing exercises, deep inhalation exercises. Do not do deep inhalation and breathing exercises in a polluted area. It will just pollute yourself more. Okay, you do it indoors. Air purifiers and everything are there. You do it there. You don't take deep inhalations outside when the air is too bad. Have certain breaks where you go into zones where the air quality is good, and there you just enjoy and stay there. So that is one thing. Other thing which everyone focuses when the air quality gets bad is they hyperventilate, and because of this there is a lot of chest tightness. So one exercise which I'd like to show you is, you can just release the air tightness by moving fingers around in a circular motion. Okay, yeah, you release the chest tightness because there are air traps that are formed here. Okay, and while exhaling you tap yourself. So it goes something like, first you release everything and take a big breath, and while exhaling you tap it. You do it 5 to 7 times, you will feel some lightness in your chest, because the air traps that you face in the polluted areas, because you hyperventilate and you are aggressively breathing, there is a lot of air which is stored here. These are the accessory muscles of breathing. Okay, so because they are overused, there are lots of air that's stored here. This releases the air and you feel a bit of lightness in the chest. Okay, and then move to good air quality zones and then do your deep breathing and everything. So this is a general suggestion in terms of breathing that you can do.
So with this, we come to an end, Hilor.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for spending some time explaining the need for the breathing as a pattern, and for giving some such a good suggestion while you are on field, while you are on the board, versus while you are on the gym. You address the problems like sinus, snoring. This is, I'm sure, like a very helpful thing for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, and thank you for having me here. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah.
And hope to see you, catch up with you again.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hilor, for being a part of this.
Thanks a lot. Looks pretty interesting.